8 years, I can honestly tell you there's really only been 2, maybe a third, but 2 real governors that really nobody liked. Nobody cared for at all. I don't mind.
Would you say who they are?
Do you really want me to? Yeah, Andrew Cuomo. Okay. Complete jackass. No one likes him. And I gotta be honest. No one cares for Gavin. Gavin's just a prick. Excuse me. He just is. It's really disappointing. I got along with him. All of us got along for a while. But even the Democrats, they won't tell you out loud. But behind closed doors, you're like, oh, God, look who's coming. You know, they all roll their eyes because...
I don't know who needs to hear this, but Gavin Newsom is not right about everything, and he's certainly not going to save America. I'll just say it. He is a con artist.
And so what we are doing is we're deploying these 1,200 plus units. We're hoping to get them constructed in a matter of months, not years. We're trying to, I wanted to say the summer. My staff said press will attack us if we fall short, so we were saying the fall.
Built in a matter of months. Well, guess what? That announcement wasn't made this year. It was made in March of 2023. It's now 2 years later, and guess how many homes have been built? None. Nothing. Zero. Yeah, as of mid-2025, no tiny homes have been completed and open for residents. So you, like many other people, are probably wondering where the hell did all the money go, the $750 million? And the answer is, we don't know. This is from Cal Matters. They say that the state does not have current information on the ongoing costs and results of its homelessness programs because the agency tasked with gathering the data, the California Interagency Council on Homelessness, has analyzed no spending past 2021, according to the report by State Auditor Grant Parks. How convenient. And if you know anything about the history of Gavin Newsom, this is all by design because he was always nothing more than a Manchurian candidate, a puppet for the global elites.
Highest gas prices in America. Record crime, violence, and homelessness. Stop Newsom redistricting.
I'm saying, Gavin, let my people go. We would like a better way forward, and we can no longer abide a government that gives us no voice.
A tale of 2 Californias. We just got more details about the launch of a plan to split the state in 2. The California Republicans are proposing it as a response to the redistricting effort that voters will decide in November.
What we have playing out in California is we already have an independent, nonpartisan redistricting commission that was established by voters through a democratic process. And now the governor of the state, Gavin Newsom, is talking about trying to override the will of voters and abolish that commission and replace its maps with those drawn by himself and the supermajority legislature.
Oh, hell no! Flashback. Later this week, we're going to announce the campaign. Next week, the legislature is going to move this forward with 2/3. We're going to get it in a special election on November 4th, and we're going to fight fire with fire. We're going to neutralize whatever Abbott does next week or whenever they move forward with the next special session. We'll talk about that in a second. The likelihood that they ultimately will be successful in Texas and California will move forward.
What? And what they're talking about, by the way, is trying to wipe out 6 of the 9 seats that Republicans currently have in Congress. So what would that mean? It would mean that California's congressional representation would be 3 Republicans and 49 Democrats.
What?
So we'd have fewer than 6% of the congressional seats, even though Republicans get over 40% of the vote in statewide elections.
What?
I'm not sure that sounds very fair to me, to use Leader Jeffries' term.
Well, let's talk more about Hakeem Jeffries there, Congressman. He says what they're going to do is fair. What the GOP is going to do, especially in Texas, is only at the bidding of President Trump.
Well, look, to be honest, I don't love what's going on in Texas either, but it is very different than what's happening in California, because California has an independent commission that has been set up by voters. And so for the governor to say that he's going to ignore that or try to override it or circumvent it, that is directly defying the will of California voters, who have said by an overwhelming majority that they want this process to be nonpartisan, that voters ought to pick politicians. It shouldn't be the other way around with politicians picking their voters. But what's more, even if you look at the most aggressive plan that's being put forward in California, in Texas, that would still leave the Democrats with about a quarter of the seats over there. Whereas what they're proposing in California is to reduce the representation of Republicans to 6% in a state that is already a one-party state, with the Democrats having a super-duper majority in the legislature, holding the governor's office and every other statewide office. So it would be eliminating any semblance whatsoever of checks and balances in our state.
What?
So, Congressman Kiley, what do you think will happen in your state of California? Do you think Governor Newsom will pull off, as you said, redistricting based on his map?
Well, Newsom will do whatever he thinks works to his own advantage. He's obviously out there trying to run for president. Really, he's trying to run for a second time. He'd hoped he was going to be the guy after Biden stepped out in 2024. So he's latching onto this as somehow a way to put himself in the spotlight, and he'll continue to pursue another path he thinks is helping him in that respect. I do think that if they move forward and try to come up with some way to redo the map, that will require going to the voters again. What they'll do is they'll call a special election. And I think that California voters will reaffirm what they said before, which is they don't want this to be a partisan process. Granted, Newsom and his allies will try to fool them in every way possible. They'll even probably make the summary on the ballot itself of what the measure will do extremely misleading. They'll have unlimited amounts of money coming in to try to fool voters into going back on what they said before. But I think at the end of the day, people will see through it, and hopefully we'll avoid this situation in California.
Meanwhile, also this morning, a California Republican leader is ramping up rhetoric even higher as he's set to propose splitting the state in two. KCRA3's Mike Tissell joins us now live from the Capitol to detail these two significant headlines today.
And then there's this map that's creating another headline. That's because State Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher set to unveil a plan this morning to literally redraw and split California into two separate states. Under his plan, more than 10 million Californians in most of Northern California, but not including Sacramento, Solano, nor Yolo counties, would be part of a new inland state. Now,
start with the obvious, right? That the Democrats have a supermajority in this royal blue state. You just said, Gavin, let my people go. Do you really think that they're going to let, you have half the state?
Well, I want to appeal to a sense of fairness. They have proposed to eliminate all of my congressional representation in the North State. They're taking away one of the districts in the Inland Empire. So all of these things deprive us of a real voice in our government. And if that's going to be the case, where we're no longer going to have a voice, we cannot give input into our government, well, we want our own state. And that's what this proposal is about, is saying, look, inland California, I think especially, has been overlooked. And we think that we could govern ourselves better than, Gavin Newsom and the supermajority have done.
I know in terms of landmass, you have a lot more land, but we would have, and I say we because Los Angeles would be in the bluer coastal state. I know no names have been proposed for this, by the way. Could your proposed state even support itself, right? The coastal counties generate a significantly larger portion of tax revenue.
Well, yeah, it could. Actually, if you looked at this would be a state of over 10 million people. It'd be one of the 10th largest state in the nation. It has huge GDP in the Inland Empire, manufacturing, the Central Valley, the farmland breadbasket of the world, in the Sacramento suburbs of Placer County. There's a lot of industry, throughout this part of California, but it doesn't get a lot of recognition from Sacramento and from, the government that's in power right now. So yeah, I mean, we absolutely could govern ourselves, and I'll bet you this: our gas prices would be a lot lower. So think about that, LA County.
Yeah, right. Well, also in the bluer coastal areas is Orange County. You made a plea to Orange County today as well when you announced this proposal.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, a lot of the feedback I've gotten is like, hey, please don't exclude us, let us in. And so, look, these lines are not set in stone. And we are going to have a lot of conversations with communities up and down the state about, is this an idea that we should pursue? I think it is. I think it's something that we deserve better representation and a government that's more responsive to our issues, like gas prices, like utility bills, electricity prices have gone through the roof. This government has done nothing about that. Housing, the lack of affordable housing.
What's the next step for this to even get to that next step?
Well, under the Constitution, you can form a new state. It does require the consent of both houses of the legislature in the state and the Congress. But for me, I think this really starts with conversations at the local level, counties, cities, communities, talking to them about whether or not they would want to proceed with this. San Bernardino, not too long ago, actually, voted to look into the idea of separating from California. So this is something that has, been very recently in the news. It's something that communities are talking about, and we want to take that conversation further.
Make America great.
That's right. Make America not like California.
I was born and raised in California, and it's so sad what's happening, but yeah, it's just like insanity in California, and I'm looking for sane policies, like just common sense, people,
I'm about to start a Never Newsom movement because I really think first off, I think America likes change, and I think he's going to be the candidate for the Democrats. So what would you tell ordinary people here on if that's a good idea or a bad idea, considering that you've had Gavin Newsom make decisions on behalf of you?
All you have to do is just look at videos, not mainstream media, definitely, but just do a deep dive and talk to a person who was born and raised in California, 58 years in California, and we had to leave. It was so insane. But anyways, have a great day.
God bless you.
But if you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay, too. But if you're not happy, you can leave. Baby.